There's been a massive security breach in Parliament and a security breach outside Parliament, and we're showing you images. This happens on a day when Pakistani terrorists had attacked the Indian Parliament in 2001 on the 13th of December. Now that anniversary was being observed, and yet, despite a threat to Indian Parliament, a threat that was issued by Khalistani terrorists and terror supporters, there was a massive security breach. The information that we have at this point of time: two men jumped from the visitors gallery, jumped into the well of the house. The intruders then jumped from bench to bench. Watch those images. This is the temple of Indian democracy that's being desecrated. This is how the temple of Indian democracy was desecrated. And these men then pulled out smoke canisters. How did they manage to take smoke canisters inside the Parliament building? If you and I go there, we are frisked. We are repeatedly frisked and checked. There are metal detectors. Apart from metal detectors, there is physical scanning that takes place. Physical frisking takes place, and yet these men managed to enter that Parliament with smoke canisters. Watch one of these intruders wearing a dark blue shirt. Then he leans across these desks. This is where our honorable lawmakers sit. This is where the destiny of our country is actually decided. Laws are made, laws are debated, and this is where these two men went from table to table before they were finally overpowered. Now, and they kept spraying some yellow-colored smoke. Watch those images. Finally, they were overpowered by the lawmakers and, of course, the security detail there, the watch and ward staff of the Parliament. They were detained after this chaos in Parliament. India Today, of course, has managed to access one of these intruders. His name there, watch that on your television screen very carefully. His name is Sagar Sharma. You see his entry pass, and this shows that this entry pass was issued by BJP MP Pratap Simha. Lok Sabha, of course, has resumed. Speaker Om Birla, he's pledged that this matter would be investigated and all lawmakers on the floor of the House will be told what exactly transpired. The nation will be briefed. Opposition MPs say initially they thought that somebody had fallen from the visitors gallery, only to realize that this was an attack in a way. Look at this desecration of the temple of Indian democracy. This is one instance. There are images that we are showing you of what happened inside Parliament. We are also showing you images of what happened outside the Parliament building, which means there was coordination. It was planned. The smoke canisters that the two men were carrying inside, similar smoke canisters were used by two people who've now been detained even outside. I want to quickly cut across to India Today's Amit Bharadwaj joining us for more on the story. Amit, what more do we know of these intruders and their motive?
Gaurav, if you can hear me, I was the only reporter who managed to get these two intruders, protesters, if we can call them now, outside the Parliament complex. Now, what happened? I was standing right here at the Transport Bhavan, and suddenly what we witnessed on the other side of the Transport Bhavan, from where the MPs enter the Parliament complex, one woman and one man, these two started raising slogans, and suddenly they started bursting color crackers, and smog or yellow color and red color, smog started to come out of the crackers which were burst outside the Parliament complex. And immediately you had Delhi police personnel rushing to the spot to overpower them. I managed to also speak to Neelam, who was detained by the Delhi police. She spoke on camera. She identified herself as Neelam, and I asked her whether she belonged to a specific organization, to which she said, "No, I don't belong to any organization," but she kept on repeating three slogans, Gaurav: Bharat Mata ki Jai, Jai Bhim, as well as Tanashahi Nahi Chalegi. When I asked her what is the motive of this protest, she continued to say that our rights are being curbed in this Parliament, and that is why we are protesting. And again, similar line of slogans were being raised by her. Jai Bhim Tanasahi nahi chalegi. What is very important to note out here that while we thought that this is a standstill protest happening outside the parliament, major security lapse outside the parliament on the 22nd anniversary of the parliament attack, a similar kind of attack, a major security lapse happened even inside the parliament, inside the Lok Sabha, where you had two individuals trying to jump inside the floor of the house, managed to jump inside the floor of the house, and their line of action was similar to which happened outside the parliament as well. So clear, major security lapse, Gaurav, on the day of 22nd anniversary of the parliament attack.
What more do we know? Is there any information about this woman Neelam, the man who was with her, and the two men who jumped from table to table and jumped down from the visitors gallery? What more do we know of those intruders? Any word from the BJP or any word from Parliament watch and ward stuff? How did they have a pass cleared in the name of BJP MP Pratap Simha?
Well, Gaurav, all these angles will be investigated properly, thoroughly by the Parliament Committee, by the Speaker's office, as well as along with the security forces who are responsible for security of the Parliament. What usually happens, for our viewers' understanding, anybody who wants to visit the Parliament put in a request with the MP of their constituency, or for that matter, any MP. And after verifying their details, the MPs usually do provide passes for the visitors gallery. But normally what we see is that the member of the parliament do maintain some sort of check from their side as well. They do check the identity cards, the Aadhaar card, and verify the details which have been submitted by these individuals. And after that, for a matter of fact, as to how strict is the security protocol inside and outside the parliament when you enter the parliament. The question is as to how did they manage to, carry those color canisters inside the parliament, and how did they manage to even jump inside the floor of the house. Gaurav.
Is there any word from the Delhi police? Is there any word from Parliament security? Because when any individual enters the Parliament, there is a metal detector. Then there are those personnel with their detection kits. They actually frisk you, they scan you. Then there is physical frisking of every individual. So there are 3 layers of security checks before you're permitted in. How did these individuals manage to get in? Those smoke spray canisters hidden in their shoe. Who was complicit?
True, but this is a big question, rather the biggest question in front of us right now, and even for the security forces. We know for a matter of fact that even when any individual who carries a valid visitor gallery request or a pass or letter from the MP, what happens is you come to the reception of the parliament, then your proper security checking is done, and second layer of security checking is done, and eventually if you're going to the visitor gallery, even at that point in time, proper security check-in is done. So after 3 layers of security checking, how did they manage to carry something which is not permissible inside the parliament complex? Number one. Number two, why there were no efforts being made when these 2 individuals were trying to jump into the floor of the house? I did speak to an eyewitness as well, Gaurav. He said that, when these 2 individuals were trying to jump, nobody tried to stop them from the gallery either, and they managed to jump inside the on the floor of the house, and they were jumping on the desk, and that was at that point in time when the MPs, quickly held them. But the kind of panic which started after those yellow fumes came out is something to note of. And in fact, Gaurav, the Delhi police has also shared initial information about the 2 individuals who were detained outside the parliament complex. As we were saying, that Neelam is the name of the woman who, protester who was detained from outside the parliament. That identity has been confirmed by Delhi police as well. The second individual is, we are being told, is from Maharashtra. So the motive is being ascertained. Delhi police will obviously have a thorough questioning.
Stay with me. Stay with me for a moment. So the name of that second individual, we are told, is Anmol Shinde, who's from Latur in Maharashtra. He's supposed to be 25 years old.